Hi Jane, welcome to the Oyster Shed.
Oh, hi, it's absolutely thrilled to be here.
Thank you very much for joining us. We're very excited for you to come and cook, and we hope you are too.
Oh, I'm over the moon. I love eating here. It's one of our favourite restaurants as a family, and to actually be cooking here at the Oyster Shed is a thrill. Amazing.
Well, you've obviously tried Natalie's food quite a few times, and now you're going to have a bit of a competition against her.
No pressure with Natalie. As I say, I've eaten her food. She's absolutely incredible. So a bit nerve-wracking, but still, what a fantastic opportunity, and what a beautiful place.
Well, you've obviously both got quite similar backgrounds in terms of where you've come from and how you came into the public eye. That was obviously Masterchef. So how did you find the whole experience? What made you apply, and how did it feel going right the way through to win?
Oh, Masterchef, I think most of us who do well, I'm sure Natalie would agree, actually end up really enjoying it. There are times when you think you're completely bonkers for doing it because it's mad. I had a bit of a different journey to going on the show. We'd always been great fans of it at home, and my kids actually put me up for it. Unbeknownst to me, they filled in all the forms and everything else and sort of said, come on mum, you should do this. And it was brilliant. The year I did it was the year I turned 50, so it was a real seminal year for me. I didn't have any expectations that I was going to win. I honestly didn't. I just was thoroughly enjoying cooking. I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I so enjoying it. Was my passion and my hobby. So when I did win, it was always a bit, I remember ringing my husband, him saying, what the hell are we going to do now? So it's been wonderful because it's been, for me, like a process of naturally just adopting what I love to do. So I do a lot of charity stuff. My big focus is gluten-free because my son is a celiac, so my books are gluten-free, and do a lot of pop-ups and things. So the thing with Natalie is just wonderful. I've not done a pop-up like this with another Masterchef champion, so it's really exciting, a bit terrifying, but then that's what, we love to do. We're all a bit nuts and we love the competition, don't we?
So a bit of a shock that must have been when your kids put you up to taking part in a nationwide competition on TV.
Yeah, it was. And the great thing is they did the original thing, but I had to sign off on the forms. So I remember doing that. They actually were really good. They sent me out to lunch with a couple of glasses of wine and said, come on, mum, do this. And I honestly thought I was going to disappear into the internet ether. I never had any preconception that I would even get the phone call from MasterChef without even going on to win it. So I just thought we'd had a bit of fun for a couple of hours in an afternoon. And I can't tell you, it's been life-changing and it's been brilliant. And I'm so grateful to them for doing it. They live out on it a lot.
I bet. And do you think the surprise of it all put a bit more pressure on you, or do you think it took away from the pressure?
100% took away from the pressure. I think the fact that I went on MasterChef without thinking I was going to run a restaurant or because I wanted to do something, I went on it purely for the love of food, took a lot of the pressure off me because I didn't expect to win. So the fact that I was sort of toddling along and thinking, oh, this is brilliant, this is cool, I'm in Mexico cooking, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I am competitive, obviously, and I wanted to do the very best I could. I would never not do my very best. But winning was just the icing on the cake. And I think when you go through the whole process from the start to the end, it's something really special. And I'm sure that's why so many other MasterChef champions are close and we're friends, because you've been through something completely bonkers mad that most people will never experience. So yeah, it's a fantastic opportunity.
So how has your life changed, and what have you been up to since?
Wow, well, it's 6 years ago, I suppose. So many things. I've cooked in many countries around the world. When we've done Thailand, Mexico, Dubai, we've cooked all over. Cooked with lots of chefs. My rock stars, Michel Roux, Gordon Ramsay, Jason Atherton, Natalie Coleman. I know I'm going to miss some. So in that point of view, just to have experienced those things has been incredible. Published 2 books, work a lot with the gluten-free community because my son's a celiac, and I'm a Celiac UK ambassador, and I work with a number of charities as well, which I'm really passionate about. And do lots of pop-ups, work with some corporate clients on recipe development, menu stuff and things. So it's a really different world. It's a world I never even knew existed. And I do something different every day, which I just feel very blessed to be able to do that, to be honest. It's a real honour.
And it must have been quite a surreal experience going from what you thought was you had a routine and a normal life or what you thought was normal life, and then that's all changed in a whirlwind, and here you are today, and you've done so much in that time. And you mentioned you've got a couple of books out as well. How does it feel having people try your own recipes? These were just recipes you'd cook for your family, and now the world is getting to see those.
Well, that's very much, I wanted to take gluten-free cooking and make it really, really something that everybody knew that they could do, because it's a huge thing when you're first diagnosed. And I'm really, really proud of the books. I think they represent what I cook at home. I get so many comments on social media when I go to allergy shows and stuff. People are, queuing up to talk to you, and it's really hugely. It's an honour, and it's lovely to be able to put something back into a community as well. But I just love the whole process of writing them, and it's something you've got to be really proud of when you walk in a bookshop and your name's on a book. It's that and winning Masterchef are the two most surreal things, I think. Your name's in Waterstones or whatever, and then also, you've got a trophy on the side. So yeah, whole thing is brilliant.
And clearly, celiac cooking and cooking with gluten-free ingredients, it's a big inspiration on your cooking. But tell us a bit more about your other inspirations.
Yeah, that aside, my primary inspiration is British cooking. My dad was a market trader, so he used to bring all sorts of weird and wonderful, ingredients. My poor mum, I always say, before the days of the internet, when all she probably had was a Good Housekeeping book on recipes, used to have to try and figure out what to do with these ingredients. And you're talking early 70s, late 60s, early 60s. So pomegranates and a great big brill or eels or all these things. And I think that's where my love of cooking comes from. Very much founded in beautiful British food, which I'm a real huge proponent of. And Dad just working in the markets and us as a family eating all this food that my mum used to cook. And to be honest with you, she could cook it. She just knew how. And I think when people ask me, how do you know how to do that? Sometimes it's an intuition, you just know how to do it. And I feel so blessed that I grew up with that. And my nanny was an incredible baker. She used to make the most beautiful cakes and pastries and pies and stuff. And so you're just surrounded by a love of food from the beginning, and you're surrounded by family that eat together and cook together. And that is very much the ethos I've taken into my own family. I'm a huge believer that friends and family who eat together stay together, It's such a huge part of our life. So that's really my inspiration, is beautiful British ingredients and cooking for friends and family.
And obviously cooking for your son as well, who is a celiac, which is obviously a big part of your cooking, having to cook gluten-free. How does it affect the type of cooking that you have to do when you have to cater for a celiac?
This is what I try to make it. I try to make it that he doesn't eat any differently to anybody else. So if you come in my house, I don't think you would know it was a gluten-free house. You would still get breads, you'd still get pastry, you'd still get pasta. I make my own pastas, I make my own breads. I don't want somebody to come in here into my house and think this is a gluten-free house. I want somebody to come into my house and go, wow, love that food. Isn't it lovely? Everybody sat down and ate together. And food is very much about inclusivity. And one of the things you realise when you've got someone with a serious dietary, because it's an autoimmune disease, it's not an allergy, is that food can be an exclusive thing as well. And I'm passionate about food being inclusive. So when I cook, I try to make sure that everybody can eat the food that I cook. And nowadays, we're obviously, all our homes, we're catering for people who are vegan, who are vegetarian, who are diabetic, who are allergic to lactose. There's so many things that we have to take into account. And I think it's really important that we do take that on board and just integrate it into what is great food.
And what would your biggest piece of advice be for someone who wants to cook gluten-free?
It's just food. Most ingredients are gluten-free. Most natural ingredients are gluten-free. Rices, all your sugars, all your lovely fresh meats, your beautiful fresh vegetables, fruits, fish, all of that is gluten-free. And actually, apart from pasta, which you can buy really good stuff now in the shops, just experiment and enjoy it. I looked at it as no different to teaching myself to cook in Asian food, or when I first went to Mexico wanting to learn more about that cuisine. It's just another way, a different cuisine to cook. And I think that's the beautiful thing about food. We're all changing all the time, aren't we? Taking on new ideas, using ingredients that we haven't used before that have become part of our heritage. So you've got fantastic British garlic from the Isle of Wight garlic farm now. I grew up not eating garlic in the 60s, and now it's just part of my staple diet. You know, and I think that's the great thing about food. It's transitory, it moves on. And part of that is embracing other people's needs.
Family is obviously a big inspiration, but how about more famous chefs? Who inspires you from the celebrity world of chefs?
Oh, so many. I always hate this because I read so many cookbooks. I am constantly reading cookbooks and I love it. I do love Ottolenghi. I think his food style and everything else is wonderful. But Jason Atherton, Atul Kutcher is just truly inspirational. Marcus Waring, his passion for British food. James Martin, always relying on him. Harry Barkers, all of them just come together. Delia, good old Delia. I always buy my kids her book because to learn how to cook, just great British classics, fantastic. So when people ask me for a specific chef, I'm always struggling because you're just hit by a barrage of inspiration, really, and that's one of the joys of the industry we're in.
Well, we have one famous chef who's here.
Yes,
we've got Natalie.
you do.
How does it feel to go head to head with her?
Very scary. Natalie Coleman, gosh, I remember watching her on Masterchef and we all fell in love because we're both London girls. I'm from Hammersmith, she's obviously from Hackney, and we was cheering her on all the way. Just wonderful to be able to meet and be a friend now. But to cook against each other, gosh, that's a bit scary because she is really good. And this is her kitchen. I'm walking into her house. But I'm just going to take the same attitude I do to it always. I'm going to cook like I cook for my family, do the best I can. And I think we're going to have a bit of a giggle in the kitchen too, the pair of us.
Well, it both seems like you've got that competitive spirit.
Oh, yeah.
You've obviously both won MasterChef. I think one more challenge isn't going to hurt.
No, it won't. And I think the good thing is food should always be about joy. So we've got to enjoy it, and we really will. We'll have a great time cooking together. But of course, everybody wants to win. I mean, we wouldn't have won MasterChef if we weren't competitive. So it's going to be a fun day in the kitchen for sure.
And are there any plans going forward that you can tell us about?
Oh gosh, so many at the moment. I've got some really nice clients at the moment that I'm working with and doing a lot of recipe development that's coming through. There's another book being written. So yeah, there's lots of stuff in the pipeline at the moment. Back on MC judging soon, so yeah, all going on.
The whirlwind lifestyle is going to continue. And finally, what dishes do you have in store for us?
So I'm doing the amuse. So I start off the menu, no pressure, thanks Natalie. And I'm going to do a squid and tomato dish, beautiful British squid at the moment, fantastic. And then also going to do crab and brown shrimp. So the two starters, two amuse. And then I'm going to do main. Obviously it's September, beautiful autumn, and we're going to do wonderful venison. So we're going to do a beautiful venison dish for the main. One of my favourite ingredients to work with. And all British, so that's wonderful. And then we're going to be right bang in the middle of autumn, so I'm going to do a lovely rosemary panna cotta and lots of lovely blackberry and apple, and maybe a big shot of gin.
Sounds absolutely delicious. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. You'll be back on Friday the 30th of September when you take on Natalie in the Battle of the Champions. We can't wait to try out all your dishes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you Friday the 30th.
See you then.